Why does searching Zilda bring up Keanu Reeves?
Did you know if you type Zlidiklisifilquit into Google, you get Keanu Reeves? You can also try Zinaz Finamwim for Tom Cruise.
I'm guessing, I'm assuming that this has something to do with like the coding of the images, or not the images, but of these people. So then, when you actually look them up, it just comes up.
Denalicious Delege gets you Winona Ryder, or even
What?
whatever this is for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay, wait, but it's asking it in a different language. Oh, I think I got it. I think I already get it. I probably don't, but I feel like I already understand it. Where you're searching these things with what seems to be random in English, but they actually mean something else in a different language. I don't even know what language that is. I kind of want to say Korean, but I have a feeling it's not that. Also, I need to watch one battle after another.
Why? You might have some idea
Heard it was
already
really good.
given the other stuff here, but this
is
is not
Korean.
some secret code. It's just what happens when you don't realize you swapped to a different keyboard layout. And because Google is trying to correct for you, mistakenly thinking you're still using a different layout, specifically the Korean keyboard layout. Korea uses a phonetic alphabet, which makes it possible to write any name like Keanu pretty easily. So on a Korean keyboard, you would press these keys in this order to search for Mr. Reeves. But type the same keys using a standard QWERTY English keyboard, and it looks like nonsense. But Google is so used to this happening.
Okay. Look, he had it.
People who frequently swap between keyboard layouts and tries to
there's more to
correct
this
by
video.
giving you Keanu
There's
anyways.
8 more minutes, so.
The same is true in reverse. If you're using a Korean keyboard and you try to search, which is total nonsense in Korean, you'll also get Keanu Reeves. In fact, if you try to Google Translate this, it'll first ask you if you really meant to write Keanu Reeves in English. You have to actually force it to pronounce the nonsense.
ADMOOGDDPPDD.
In 2019, a Twitter user named Robert O was browsing Have I Been Pwned, a website that shows passwords that have been compromised in a past data breach so you don't
You could do that? Oh, I should probably do that.
use them. And he noticed something weird. Among the top passwords used were common things like password or 123456 or asdfajiggle, but a decent amount of hits were on a seemingly random string of characters. JI32K7 whatever. Why were these random letters used over 1,000 times in different people's passwords? Well, you might expect this already, but it's another keyboard thing. Typing the keys where JI32K7 and so on are on the English keyboard actually spells out Wodamima, which means my password in Mandarin.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the Chinese characters Wodamima,
So, they're just writing password, basically, just in another
it really
language.
doesn't look like it should take that many key presses to create.
So, bad passwords are universal. Is that what we're finding out here?
If you're used to a QWERTY keyboard. But it does. That's because in Bopomofo, similar to many
People
other...
really, it is crazy how many people use like 123 as their password. Like, how? I'm sorry. Everything is connected to that. And then they really do be putting password or 123 or ABCD. It's crazy. I don't think it has to be the most complicated thing. And honestly, when it's asking you to make it stronger and it just keeps asking it, even though you're adding like a bunch of different symbols and different things, it's like by the end of it, you basically have a line of code to put into a game, but it's just your password. I don't know why they make you do so much sometimes. I mean, I think you should make it strong, but sometimes it's asking for a little much. A special character, a number, a thing in another language, your favorite food. It's insane, man.
East Asian keyboard layouts, you don't type characters directly. There's too many of them to fit on the keyboard. But instead you type phonetic combinations that get converted into characters via an IME, or an input method editor. What's really interesting is that an IME doesn't always only suggest characters. It can also suggest special symbols, or even emoji. That means it can be faster to write many emoji in an East Asian keyboard layout versus a QWERTY one. If you enable the simplified Chinese keyboard layout in Windows, type Jiayo, which is basically the Chinese way of saying "Let's go! Let's go!" In addition to the characters themselves, you also get a flexing arm, and even this little guy. Also, a funny coincidence with the Korean keyboard layout is, well, normally when you type ZZZ, it means... But on the Korean keyboard layout, those same keys spell out KKK, which you might recognize as their version of LOL, if you've ever seen Koreans commenting on things online.
Oh, all the time. Every day. I'm always looking at Korean discussion forums. That's my favorite pastime.
Why does their laugh sound like k? Different languages have different default sounds for
Okay.
things, which is another amusing idea. Like, if I wanted to make a spitting sound, it'd probably be like ha twa. But meanwhile,
Bro.
Soyoung, how do they spit in Korea?
退
Input confusion isn't just for keyboards, it can happen with other peripherals too. For instance, in Japan, the circle button on a PlayStation controller
Oh,
has
that music. Loading up the PS4 on a bright summer morning. OG Fortnite Season 5. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're landing paradise. You get 5 kills off the bat. Ooh, baby.
always
Bring
meant
me back.
yes or confirm, while X meant no or cancel. That might sound weird to anyone who's ever used a PlayStation outside of Japan, because for basically every other country, it's the opposite. Circle means no,
Wait,
and X
what? In other countries, it means something else?
is yes. Although apparently that all changed with the PS5 controller, where they decided to bring Japan
The
in
GOAT.
line with everyone else.
So go.
PS5 users in
Love
Japan
these
now use
controllers.
the X button to confirm an action, and the circle button to cancel something, like everyone else. But what's terrible is that the buttons retained their traditional corresponding actions in older games.
Oh, my God.
So, for example, if
Oh
a
my
Japanese
God.
PS5 user wanted to play Demon Souls,
Oh, that would be so cooked. That would be so cooked, dude.
they'd use X to actually select that game and to load it, but in the game itself, they'd have to use circle to select
Oh.
things. Pressing X
I would hate
just
that. I would
cancel
hate
stuff.
that.
It's hard for me to look up, but
Dude, I even mess up switching between PS5 controllers and Nintendo Switch controllers. Like, they mess me up. Because Nintendo has to be different. They have to be different, so they make their controllers always be opposite of, like, PlayStation and Xbox. So every time I use it, I always, for, like, the first 5 minutes of using Nintendo stuff, I mess it up, and then I finally get the hang of it.
I imagine
it's
this
annoying
has
for
caused
that first
some
5
serious
minutes.
annoyance
Because your
among
muscle memory for this stuff is so powerful, you know?
Japan's PlayStation users. There's another interesting idea we haven't explored yet, the dominance of English, or at least the Latin character set, in computing. I mean, even with these international keyboards, they usually have the Latin script characters first or foremost, and then whatever unique characters that they
Oh my
have.
God, that looks so confusing to me, bro.
If I wanted to do a list comprehension in Python, I could write something like x for x in range 10 if x is less than 5, as Guido intended. But what if I only knew Chinese? Do they still write for, in, range, and if? Or do they do something like
x 每个 x 在范围10，如果 x 小于5。
And if not, does every programmer from
Okay,
a
not-
non-English speaking
Don't
background
know
need
what
to
that
learn
means.
at least a little bit of English in order to do their job? Luckily, my dad is a programmer who grew up in China. He studied
Oh. Now this makes more sense why he's so knowledgeable on this.
computer science in the 80s, so I can just ask. Let's find out.
God, it's so cool having like your parents being from another country. I think that's so cool. You just get so much more of that other country. I always find it cool when people have parents that are from another country.
Hello?
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, I had a question actually about what your school was like. How do they program in Chinese? Because a lot of the programming languages you use will say things like for, I, in, range, whatever. But those are all English words. So did you have to learn English when you studied computer science? How did that work?
Okay. So when I studied computer science back in
There's gonna be some weird explanation. But I could tell by the way he answered. This is gonna be not a uniform answer.
1990s,
Mm-hmm.
1980s, that was long time ago. And so we learned a lot of binary language. We learned DOS. When I first learned how to program computer, we learned C language.
Right.
The most advanced language I learned, I believe, is C++.
Sure.
So that was long time ago. So we didn't have a chance to learn new Java, like Python.
Right, but even C and C++, there's a lot of English words that they use, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We learn English as a second language since
Okay.
my third grade.
Never mind, Jay.
So
I
when
take that
I
back.
get into the college,
Usually when someone answers like that, they're like, okay. And then they give like this long. I thought it was going to be some weird, like, he had to find loopholes around it, and they had to do some weird system, and they had this whole thing for it. No, it was they just learn English.
My English is pretty okay in
Right.
terms of reading and then writing and all that kind of thing. So
Gotcha.
the only shortage is that we don't have experience to talk and practice. But as far as reading, English is always, I have no issues.
So
Goat, the goat.
would you say like the
Because I would have
typical
so many issues learning the other way around. Americans learning Chinese or Mandarin, cooked. I bet you took everybody in America. The government says you have to learn Mandarin. If you don't learn Mandarin, no, you're not. No, you're kicked out of the country. 1%. 1% would have. Not even. In today's day and age, nah, man. Mm-mm. They'll learn 3 words and then they'll get distracted because they have Ludwig on their other monitor.
Chinese programmer like knows a bit of English or like had that as part of their training?
When we get into the college, everybody have at least 10 years,
Oh,
language
Jesus.
experience using English.
Gotcha.
So everybody knows a little bit about English.
So it sounds like he already knew plenty of English by the time he started to learn programming. Even if he wasn't conversational, he knew the basic words and phrases, enough to understand the control structure of a typical programming language. And that
Interesting.
if you were bound for college, in other words, were
Interesting how they didn't have their own system in China. Because, like, when I think of China, I feel like it has such a big sphere of influence on its own that it doesn't usually conform with American systems or just English systems in this case. But I guess for some things they still do.
the people who even had the opportunity to study computer science in the first place, you would have started learning it as a second language pretty early on. And while there have been attempts to create non-English based programming languages,
It's also crazy how people in other countries just know other languages. Like, it's so common for people in like Europe or honestly a decent amount of Asian countries. They just know they know multiple languages. In America, bro, I know like one person that could speak, and that's not true. Probably 5% of my friends can speak another language fluently. And that's honestly, I feel like I'm in a higher density area of that being more common. But maybe that's wrong. I don't know. It's very anecdotal.
none have really taken off. And that's not too surprising knowing the history of computing. Charles Babbage, Ada Lovelace, Alan Turing, even Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, the creators of C. Many of the pioneering moments in computing history happened in either England or the US, so it's understandable that many aspects
Yeah,
of
that makes
computer
sense.
technology
That's kind of answers my question earlier or it doesn't answer the question. It just that makes sense because I was saying earlier how I'm surprised that they're using English stuff over there because I thought it would be such a bigger sphere of influence.
even today are centered around the English language. So whether it's random letters throwing surprising results,
Music's
emoji
back.
that show up uninvited, or buttons that suddenly say no when you meant yes, a lot of our digital experience revolves around invisible assumptions about language, about culture, about which key means what. Your computer is just guessing. It's doing its best to understand what you meant based on where it thinks you're coming from. The more you dig into it, the more you might realize we're not just typing into keyboards or clicking buttons. We're trying to translate ideas into an input system, one that was sometimes built around someone else's defaults. Sometimes it gets it right, and sometimes it gets it circle. Thanks for watching.
Wow. Fire video, dude. Holy. What's that guy's name? Who made this? Schloop. Great video, dude. Holy. I love watching videos on other countries, man. It's like the coolest thing to me. I just feel like I should get a better taste of what's happening really more internationally than just in my own sphere of influence.